Don't touch that mouse. You need to hear this. I'm going to do a site walkthrough with you. People write me frantic. Now, I can't find anything. How do I find what I need? You want to bet you're not going to be one of them? Okay. You know, I have actually looked at this with brand new people for the first time, you know, gotten it up on the computer screen, like been with them in person and looked at it with them. And they always say the same thing when they see the hub, which is the page you're going to go to when, you know, when you enter your password, which is at the bottom of the page this movie is on. And there's a click right there to go to the hub, and when you go there, they always say the same thing. They say, I don't need this. I don't want this. This is, you know, I'll never use this. And you know what? They're right, actually. This would print out at like 35,000 pages. It's a college. You know, when you start college, what do? They, you know, they show you around. They give you guidance counseling, you know. How do you actually take yourself through this course of study? Everybody's different. You know, what's your major? Cancer? Herpes? So you know, I mean, it depends, right? So, and of course, everybody comes in here thinking, oh, I'm going to find the herpes lesson, but it doesn't work that way. Because there are cofactors and ancillary causes, and you're not going to start by curing your herpes. You're going to start by curing your fungus or your emotional dysfunctions that are going to interfere with you curing your herpes or cause you to get it again. You know, so no, you're going to need to find what you need. And by the way, this whole thing is totally dependent on your psychic abilities. That's what this is. You know, this makes extensive use of psychic abilities, which remember when you got your signal when you did lesson 1, you know, that was a psychic experience. That's what psychic abilities are. It's when you test, oh, you're going to discover your intuition explodes as you do this, and if you don't believe there's any such thing as being psychic, which is fine, I don't care what you believe, it's okay. You can just please continue believing that. We're not trying to change your beliefs here, okay? And as you have psychic experience after psychic experience, at some point you might come to believe that, or maybe you will just realize that your beliefs are irrelevant. Belief is just like, that's what's going on in your head, you know. It's basically dysfunctional to believe anything. Knowing is different from believing. And what you're being taught to do here is to know. This is a course in knowingness and doingness. To know and to do, you do because of what you know. You know, your doing comes out of knowing. Knowing how, knowing what, knowing when, knowing why, knowing, you know, therefore you do. And most people do without knowing, and that's why their lives are such a mess. So, and they pick the wrong stocks and the wrong spouse. And it even happens when you reincarnate, you can pick the wrong parents, although you're probably at this point, maybe you better make do with those. So yeah, this is about exercising the psychic abilities that you began to develop in lesson 1 to cure things. And of course, so then this would make this psychic healing, right? And we do psychic acupuncture and psychic chiropractic treatments and psychic finding of the right partner, if you're into that, you know, if you need that, you know, you can do that. And at some point, you will realize that you can run your life on intuition. Like, you don't have to figure out what choices to make. The choices will become apparent, but you need to let the ship sail itself and just, go in the direction the God breezes take you. And that's when you open your, when you start receiving signals, you're putting up your sail, and letting God blow you where she chooses. So that's what this is going to be. You will find what you need, and if you, accept my training and let me help you. There's something you should probably know about me, which is that people paid me millions to design courses for them and show them how to do things. And that was before I knew I could cure anything. That was back when I was stupid and unintelligent and dense and unintuitive, back in the old days. But of course, see, actually, the reality is that I actually began to get signals many, many years before I knew I was getting signals. I started getting signals in 1958. I'm 1968. And, when I first began to get signals, which is another story for the other stories I tell about how I discovered this with a doctor. I was doing some, whatever it was, muscle testing or something. That was in 1993, and that's when I cured my herpes. And I wasn't strong enough with this to cure anything back when I first started doing it, but I was strong enough with it to get myself out of a lot of jams and to go and to intuitively find the people that I needed and go in the right direction in my life. And that happened, it started in 1968, and actually it started in 67. I tested started in 68. But I know that I was doing some kind of precursor to it in 1967. And I did it by flipping a piece of paper with the word God printed on one side. So I was getting yes-no answers that way. Isn't that interesting? It's funny that I decided to put this in this particular talk. I've never talked about this before anywhere, as I remember, on this entire website, but here. But please don't write God on a piece of paper and start flipping it, okay? Use what we're showing you. It's a lot faster, and it's very hard to flip a piece of paper in a moving car when you're trying to cure the flu on the way to a business appointment, so you really ought to just let God move your finger, okay? That's probably the best approach to this. I had a friend, there's a movie of him on the homepage right now, and he's a devout Christian. So I figured the way for him to start getting signals was to, do Christian things. So he was repeating a phrase from the Bible for a while, and that did nothing. But when I told him, just connect to God the way you do when you pray, and bingo, there was his signal. So that was good, Okay, so with that, what we're going to do is now that you know this, I'm actually going to look at the pages in the website with you, because you do need some pointers on finding things, just so you know how to employ your psychic abilities more effectively. Okay, what do you think about that? Let's do that. So the next segment will have the page will be up on the screen. I'll make that in the house. Okay.